Welcome to the Low Stakes Podcast. I am your host, Jeff Avgaris. I'm here with my co-host, Dave Lodwig, and our producer, Nate Cross. Best name in podcasting.
I'll take it.
That's right.
Today's episode, we're going to be focused on the American Journey experience. We got a personalized tour from Tim Barton of that, and if it doesn't sound exciting, you should really listen because it was really cool, really cool. So that'll be coming up. And guys, how's it going? Happy Mother's Day to both of you, huh?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do identify as a mother.
Yes, good. Excellent. How was your mother's? Your mother, your wives? How'd it go?
Well, my mom's dead.
Yes. And that'll be the end of this episode.
But my wife, she's the best mother I know. Yeah, Oprah said that being a mom is the hardest job ever. And I think we can all agree with that. You know, after that comes like brain surgeon and maybe like deep sea welder, being a redheaded kid, roofing in the middle of July. But mom definitely is top of all of that.
Yes.
You know, it's not easy turning Bluey on and just letting it play while microwaving chicken nuggets. All kidding aside, you know, we really do have nothing but appreciation for the mothers in our lives, whether it's our mom or our wives and the kids they've given us. So just on behalf of our podcast, we just want to say thank you to all the moms out there, and hopefully you felt loved and appreciated yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, moms are obviously the core of the family, you know. They're the weather makers there, I guess you would say. So my wife had a great weekend. I barbecued a pork butt. We had some friends over. Kids swam in the pool. My wife's a big fan of pork, so pulled pork. You know, it's funny, and not to get off this, but pork has always upset my stomach.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why.
Content, right?
Yeah, right. Well, I've used the same seasoning for years when I do ribs, when I do a butt, when I do anything. This time I tried a different rub from Meat Church, actually. Hey, Meat Church, if you're out there. And it was great, and my stomach was not upset from it.
Huh.
And that's something.
That
is. The first time, literally 10 years that I haven't had an upset stomach from pork. So,
well, I did for my wife yesterday. I did 2 filet mignons. I wrapped them in bacon.
As it should be.
Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, the reason why we do that is there's 0 fat on a filet.
Mm-hmm.
I did 2 ribeyes and I did 2 T-bones. But I put them on my Pit Boss, but as I was putting them on, I basted them in butter.
Oh, yeah.
Put garlic and salt and pepper and all that on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got a little bit of the crust on it as it was. So I seared it and then turned it down after they seared.
Yeah.
They turned out great.
That's awesome.
Right.
I've been trying, so I'm convinced in my head, you know, we're here in Missoula, Montana, we're at 3,500 feet.
Yeah.
And every YouTube barbecue channel is from Texas or Florida or somewhere in the South, right? And I am convinced that at sea level, barbecue is different temperature-wise than at 3,500 feet. I know at an oven it is, right? So I've been using for years, I've been doing the same temperature. They'll say, for example, they'll say, you know, do your brisket at 225 until it gets up to 165. And it'll be, 6-8 hours, whatever. Well, mine cooks way faster. So I've pumped it down, and I've figured out that here in Missoula, if you go about 10 to 15 degrees cooler than what they say at sea level, it's about right. So yesterday, I'm barbecuing this pork butt, apple juice, the whole rigmarole for it. And, I mean, this thing took 7 hours to get up to 165 internal before I put it in an aluminum tray, and which is perfect. I mean, it's the best bark I've ever had on a pork butt. The best, hands down. Everybody loved it. Juices were great. It was really, really good. So, pro tip to anybody out there that lives in the mountains, pump your temperature down a little bit if you want to marry up to what YouTubers talk about, because nobody's doing it in the big mountains up here.
Yeah, that would make sense, because we talked last week, I do everything on a charcoal grill,
Mm-hmm.
and it's harder to get a higher temperature on a charcoal grill, but I find that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't seem to affect my cooks. They work out great and taste great and complete in the right amount of time. So that checks out.
Yep.
The elevation difference, that's a real thing out here. I remember our first year moving here, just being tired,
Mm-hmm.
like way more than I'd ever been in my life, like fatigue. And it's because of the elevation. I know you're a big runner, so when you
yeah, hallelujah.
so
If you see me running, you better be running too.
Exactly. Something bad is happening. But if you were to run here and get used to running here, I try to run about 5 miles a week. When you go and run at a lower elevation, like if you go home to Oregon or back when I would go out to like Washington or something from here, you could just go and go and go. It's crazy. Like I get gassed after a couple miles. Go to a lower elevation now. Like I can go run a 10K, no problem.
Yeah, that's awesome. Nate, what'd you do with your wife? Did she you have a good weekend?
We did, yeah. We had some friends over, and we went to a great little restaurant in Hamilton that we love. There's a little brewery there, and they do chicken and waffles. So my wife wanted chicken and waffles.
Love that.
And we got chicken and waffles.
Good call.
Yeah. Nate's wife's about ready to have number 2. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So
You know what it is?
We're gonna have another girl.
Oh, so it's human.
it's a baby,
Yes.
Dave. Duh. Gee.
Every time, both kids, people ask me, "What are you having?" Well, it's human.
So another girl.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know that I knew that. 2 girls.
Yep,
Ah,
girl dad.
It's a lot of estrogen.
That's
awesome.
Hey,
That
I
is
grew up.
good for
I was
you.
the only son, so 3 sisters. I like to say I never learned to fight with my hands because I didn't have brothers, but I can get really catty.
I don't know you. Let go of my purse.
Exactly.
That's
Kick him in the groin.
I love that. I love it. So we have our first sponsor. Dave, you want to read out? This is an actual sponsor. No joke.
Yeah, we're legitimate now.
We're legit.
This podcast is taking off. Our show today is brought to us by Rose Chadwell Real Estate. Rose Chadwell is a dedicated realtor here in Big Sky Country. She's committed to helping everyone find their forever home here in the Treasure State. If you're looking to buy or sell, reach out to Rose at bigskybrokers.com.
Love it. Thank you, Rose. That's awesome. Taking a risk on a bunch of yahoos like us. So that's awesome. So our main topic, American Journey Experience. So we had the honor. It's been, what was it, the end of January? Was that right?
Yeah.
End of January, we were invited by Tim Barton to come down and do a personalized tour of the American Journey Experience Museum in Irving, Texas. And, if this sounds like, a museum, I'm going to fast forward, you should really listen to this because, it was an experience. It's the coolest darn thing that I think I've been to, especially museum-wise. It was really cool. The unique historical stuff, not just American history, but world history stuff. What was the coolest thing for you?
I mean, looking back at it, I got to go to the Smithsonian Museum in March. I was out in Washington, D.C. for a conference, and so I went to the Smithsonian, went to the pop culture one and the American history one. There's like 6 different Smithsonian buildings out there, and the biggest difference, and I was able to compare the two, is going through the Smithsonian, everything's on display, but you're removed from it, right? You can't reach out and touch it, so I got to see George Washington's uniform or his teeth. His teeth are there. And, you go in the pop culture wing and there's Captain America's shield from the very first Avengers movie. Well, I was literally standing in front of the Captain America shield. There was a bunch of college kids next to me and they're just geeking out seeing it. And I said, well, you guys want to see something cool? And so I pulled up a picture of our experience at the American Journey Experience, where we didn't just see Captain America's shield, we actually got to hold it. And so while we were there in Texas, there's a little pop culture section at the American Journey Experience, and they have Chris Evans' helmet and shield from Avengers Age of Ultron. And so Tim, who we're with, he's like, well, you guys want to hold it? That's what made it different.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between witnessing history and then touching history.
Mm.
And so, we went through the pop culture wing, and it was incredibly cool. We got to see the shooting script for It's a Wonderful Life. Got to see one of the pairs of ruby slippers, which ironically I saw. I think there's 3 of them in existence. The other one, there's another pair at the Smithsonian, which I saw.
That's cool.
They had the hoverboard from Back to the Future 2 and the Sports Almanac, and it was signed by Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. I got to see the original Darth Vader costume, which is in there. Just going around, it's cool. One of Harrison Ford's suits from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So going through the pop culture section, I think sort of like whetted our appetite for it, because there was the immediate like, oh, I remember seeing this. I saw this. And then we got to hold the Captain America shield. Then we went into the vault. And so having already sort of physically engaged with things that matter to us, we went into the vault, and that's where we saw and got to hold true history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think what jumped out at me the most, and it blew me away, is inside the vault that they have there, they have George Washington's mapping compass.
Mm-hmm.
They also have his eyeglasses from the Newburgh Address that he did about 6 months before he resigned the presidency. But we got to physically hold George Washington's mapping compass, and there's a finger groove in it because he had used this thing for like 40 years. And it speaks to the quality of craftsmanship, in revolutionary times.
Before Tim kills us, I don't think everybody that goes to this gets to hold all this stuff. So Nate will be getting a call from Tim when we put this out and be like, but I will say the way they have the museum set up, you're right there. There's no, bulletproof glass in front of you. There's no 15 feet back. I mean, you are standing. You're right there with it. Even if they don't let you touch it, you're there with it.
There's a few things behind, in a case or something. But for the most part, every item in that experience in that museum is something you can pick up, you can hold.
Yeah.
You can do, and I do know they will let most of the items be handled.
Okay.
I think we got a little extra, but for the most part, they'll let most of the items be handled. Now they might not have time. That was the difference for us, is getting a private tour. You just have so much more time to be able to see, hold, and experience those things. But yeah, it's a very unique deal where they really. The main focus is that you get to experience history rather than just see.
Mm-hmm. So being that up close and personal, like being able to hold a Revolutionary War musket with the bayonet on the end of it, having it all displayed in front of us, some of the different items that have been recovered from that era that they have in there to see it. We were presented with it was framed in an enclosure, but part of the collar from Abraham Lincoln's collar of the coat he was wearing the night he was shot. And you can see the blood stain on it still.
Mm-hmm.
Like that blew me. FDR's wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like it's just right there.
Mm-hmm.
Some things I wasn't prepared to handle. He placed a set of keys in my hand and asked me like, hey, whose keys do you think those were? And, we're sitting there trying to figure out, like, well, are they Churchill's, whatnot? Oh, no, those are Hitler's. Yeah. And I immediately recoiled. I was like, oh, okay, well, here you go. You can have those back.
Hitler's personal keys for the Eagle's nest. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was wild. Seeing an Enigma machine, seeing part of the actual Schindler's List.
Mm-hmm.
So
Buffalo Bill's stopwatch, like his hand watch.
That's right.
And his gloves were in there.
The document that named America, written by Vespucci. If you're not aware, this private museum, it's on an old Paramount Studios lot down there in the Dallas metropolitan area where they used to film Westerns and different TV shows, and it takes up space inside of an old soundstage. I know Glenn Beck is one of the big backers to the entire project along with their board of directors. And I think that's the key is going back, being able to compare it to my experience at the Smithsonian, a month and a half later, the Smithsonian's very passive. You walk through and you see things, and it's cool to see it. To actually physically handle something that is a part of our history was just something I'll never forget over the course of my life. And so going back to what I was saying, the ability to touch history is important. I got to go to Israel back in 2015, and I went to Megiddo, which is ancient city in the Jezreel Valley in northern Israel, and it's one of the oldest structures on the planet. It's the deepest parts of it, the walls there are about 7,000 years old. So I got to go down in there, and what struck me is, I got to put my hand on a wall that was built 7,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. Like, we just don't have anything like that in America.
No, we don't.
But it's the interaction, it's the tactile touching of history that I still remember. I remember touching it, and it was cold. We were underground, and I can still physically feel it. Same thing while we were there in Texas, to be able to actually handle those things.
And it's a funny thing, going back to probably the demographic listening to us. A young dad, middle-aged dad. How do we pass this respect on to our kids and our love for this? And I'm a big believer that experiences teach a kid a lot better than a book does. So you come to something like this, you go to an American Journey experience, kind of having a general idea of the stuff you're going to see. Maybe you spend a couple weeks before teaching your kids about George Washington, and maybe you watch It's a Wonderful Life over Christmas and do a few of these things. So when they go there, they're like, what? That's, like you were just talking about, man, that's theirs right there. I mean, Captain America, that's the shield, and that the helmet that is actually cannot fit Captain America. It's a little too small, but it makes his biceps look bigger when he puts it under his.
Should have seen Dave holding that.
Huge.
No, I looked huge.
Huge.
I know.
He was jacked. So I think that's an interesting point, is that experiences are more important, in my opinion, than just than what you see in a book. It really resonates with kids.
I think the more personalized history becomes for generations, the more important it is. Mm-hmm. When I moved here to Missoula, so if you're listening or watching, I actually have a day job. I'm the pastor of a church here in Missoula. And when I got here...
You don't just make your money from podcasting?
No. I'm podcasting in a lemonade stand. And
not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Six-figure income. It's amazing.
Here it comes.
But in my church, when I got there, we had one of the last living Doolittle Raiders. And so if if you're listening or watching, or any of you guys, you don't understand, after Pearl Harbor was bombed in December of 1941, the initial response from America was led by Colonel Jimmy Doolittle, and they bombed Tokyo. Mm-hmm. It wasn't necessarily a
Ben Affleck was on one of those.
Ben Affleck was on. Alec Baldwin was flying. It wasn't necessarily a military strike as much as it was a morale booster for America. And so Ted Lawson flew a plane called the Wounded Duck, and its tail gunner was David Thatcher. Mm-hmm. And so Lawson's plane was shot down, crashed in mainland China. He wound up losing his leg. Out of the 6-man crew, 5 of them were injured. Well, Thatcher kept them all alive for a week with Chinese nationals until Allied forces could rescue him. Well, Thatcher was from Billings and relocated here to Missoula, wound up serving as a mailman here in Missoula for 30 years. And anyway, so he goes to my church. I didn't realize it was a big deal until I told my uncle. My uncle, retired military, was a pilot in the Army for 24 years, worked at the Pentagon. I told him there was a Doolittle Raider in my church. He went nuts. He's like, "Are you he's the most stoic guy ever, but he looked like a kid on Christmas. He's like, "Are you serious? I got to meet General Doolittle when he was retired, when he came to flight school, and blah, 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 blah." So Lawson, the pilot, wrote a book called 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, which got turned into a movie. So I own the movie, and usually around Memorial Day or Veterans Day, I'll watch it. The first time I watched it, my kids were there, and Dave he's a character in the movie, and he's sitting there talking about, life back in Montana as he's loading stuff on a plane and how he can't wait to get back there. And I told my kids, that's Mr. Thatcher at church. And their eyes get big. Well, next time they're there, they don't view him, they don't view him the same anymore. He's different now, because he's bigger than life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. History sticks with us once it becomes sort of bigger than words on a page.
Totally.
Yep. Yeah. Go ahead.
The only museum that I know of that even comes close to the American Journey experience is that up in Polson.
The one on the right. Yeah. As you're heading up in there.
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. Miracle of America Museum is what it's called. And they have a building where it's largely, your kind of typical museum experience, except for it feels a little bit like a junk hoarder, just kind of laid stuff out. It's super cool. But then their back lot it's huge, massive. They've got bunches of like pole barns and different things with all sorts of Montana American history in there. And on the back lot, I'd say probably 95% of the things back there have a little green sign on them that says "Enjoy, don't destroy." And I mean, there's a F8 Avenger.
Yeah.
There's a UE H1. There's tractors and like a steam engine, and they all say "Enjoy, don't destroy." And you can climb on them. You can get into the helicopter, like everything.
That's cool.
And it's the greatest experience, not because they have the coolest things or because they're in the best condition or whatever it might be. I mean, a UH-1 Huey isn't even rare. I don't even know how many of those they produce, but it's hundreds of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you get to sit in the seat and you get to pull up the light controls and pretend like you're flying in this helicopter. And I've taken a ton of kids from my youth group or just other friends there, and like it just captures the imagination in a way that a document in a glass bulletproof box just never will.
Never will. That's very true. It's funny about the American Journey experience too is Tim Barton actually gave us a personal tour himself. And Tim, you can watch him online because he's a speaker. He's the president of Wall Builders. Wall Builders.
There goes our sponsorship.
Yeah. Sorry, Tim. Wall Builders. And so Tim speaks a lot. He's in front of crowds a lot. But Tim that you see on stage is the same way in a group of 5 people. He's just high energy. His passion for history is unmatched. I've never met anybody. My dad loves history. I love it. I know a lot of people love history. Tim's like a 10 when everybody else is a 5. He just loves it. Explaining, he has a guillotine in there and explaining, when was the last
beheading?
Yeah, beheading in the world. And, we were all guessing, and I was, we were like 1600s, maybe the 1800s. He's like, 1977, and what happened in France, and that's the last time it happened. I mean, he loves that stuff. He just lives for it. So if you ever have a chance to meet Tim, you should do it because he's a really good dude. So
yeah. Well, in all seriousness, if any of you get the opportunity, you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you can schedule a tour over at the American Journey Experience, and it is worth every second that you spend there because of everything that we've been talking about. Just that opportunity to be up close and personal with key pieces of our country's history, and it reinforces what it means to be an American. It sort of, I know for me, shifted my mind from the present and all of the strife and conflict we deal with here in our own country. It got me to really sort of re-engage with how our country started and the heroism in there, and just looking back at what it means to be an American. And so I can't recommend it enough to people to make that trip down there to experience it.
Totally. Get your kids out. Get them out in front of stuff because
it's worth it.
It's totally worth it for sure. So So our second sponsor, I have another sponsor, spoiler alert, it's the company that's supporting what we're doing here. It's Montana Bond Marketing, Marketing Without Limits. If you have any marketing needs out there as a business, you can go to mtbahn.com. That's mtbahn.com and do anything for you. Whatever your marketing needs are, we have the ability to do. Heck, if you want to sponsor this podcast, we have openings, so you can email me directly, jeff@mtbahn.com, and I will gladly have a discussion with you about that. So we're going to jump in. We're going to talk briefly. Last week, the last podcast that's probably being posted right before this one, but we had some technical difficulties. But we talked a little bit about youth sports, and we want to talk about a little bit more because as dads, as middle-aged men, whether you have kids or not, youth sports is a part of what we do. We have all had kids. Well, Nate's kids aren't quite the youth sports level yet, but Dave and I have had our kids going through female sports, male sports, basketball, baseball, football, softball. My daughter's in cheer. So it's an interesting topic because it's very good for kids. I encourage everybody to get your kids in sports, even if they're not athletically gifted. That teaches a lot of the lessons that really need to be instilled in kids. There's discipline. There's getting away from electronics. There's usually either getting outside or getting in a gym, which is great. If you live in the northern states, being able to have something that gets you out of the house is always a good thing. We all don't live in Florida, so but there's positives and negatives to it, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those are the positives.
Yes. I've been involved with youth sports for longer than I can remember at this point. Before we had our son, I coached high school baseball and football. I think I coached high school football for 12 years and high school baseball for 10 years before we moved out here to Montana. And, right as we moved out here, my son was hitting about T-ball age. He was 4 years old when we moved out here. And so I segued from coaching high school sports into coaching T-ball, which that was a rough year. There's a lot of alcohol involved with that one. But
mostly from the parents.
Yeah,
right?
Mostly from the parents.
That's where it is the roughest.
Yeah, it was. There was a community flask that got passed around at every game, and it's what got us through until all the kids got their granola bars and juice boxes at the end. But it's fascinating to see how youth sports have evolved into what they are today. Mm-hmm. And it's almost, I would call it is its own industrial complex.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is just crazy to me. Growing up, playing sports, I remember, you played Little League. And, half your team was playing in jeans.
Yes.
Like you were the serious kid if you had actual baseball pants on.
Yeah,
your coach, he'd be over at third base smoking a cigarette and, telling you to run around. And then when the Little League season was over, it was over. Then you had your summer break, unless you were an all-star and, you got to do that. And then, okay, well, it's Pop Warner football in the fall. And then it's YMCA basketball after that. And you just sort of rotated through these sports. There was never personalized coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Like you didn't have a bunch of 10-year-olds going to see a hitting coach or, they're playing year-round soccer.
Yep.
And with both of our kids, my son plays baseball, my daughter plays softball, and has now started picking up basketball. Your son played travel baseball for a while. He's running now, and your daughter does cheer, competitive cheer. The way it's escalated still almost gives me like whiplash.
Yep.
And it probably for me personally, and you can weigh in on this as well because you've experienced it, is you go to these weekend travel ball tournaments. I had a buddy. He called me a few weeks ago. His son's 9. He goes, "Hey, what do you think? Should I get him involved in travel ball?" I said, "Well, before you make that commitment, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go down to one of the travel ball tournaments coming up here in this town this month, and number one, walk around and see how many of the dads are wearing the same uniform as their team. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. 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 Well, see how many of them are dressed exactly the way their 10-year-old is.
Not a hoodie.
Not a hoodie or shorts.
No.
They're in the full
merch, yes.
uniform, just like as if they were the bench coach for the Seattle Mariners. They're in the uniform. And then I said, and then go over and watch a 9U baseball game.
Oh, man.
And ask yourself if it's going to be worth the $1,000 and 7 or 8 weekends that it's going to require of you.
Hotels, gas, time spent, food. Oh, man. Yeah, and, this is safe space here.
Always.
So let me say this to you dads out there listening. And if your kid is happen to be listening, you can close their ears for this. The chances that your child is going to go professional in a sport is so minute that you can't count that small. It is very, very minute. If your kid is really good at their sport, they might get a scholarship to college. Might. So what are we doing?
I think, and to put this in real perspective, we're here in Missoula County, and I believe since baseball is important to both of us,
Mm-hmm.
and both of our sons have played baseball, the last Division I baseball player to come out of this county who went on to at least play in the minor leagues, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but his name was Nick Jovetic. I know that because I'm friends with his parents. He came through the Legion program here. He's a huge athlete. He was like 6'3", 230, center fielder. Went to the University of San Francisco and then wound up in the Mariners farm system. That was like 8 or 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the Mariners farm system.
Yeah, exactly. They're one step above the Rockies. Wink.
Ouch.
Yeah. The Rockies farm system goes all the way to the professional, the top level.
The showcase league.
Yeah. So, I coached travel ball here. Me and my buddy Jared did it for a number of years, but we always did it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, there was only really 2 travel programs here in Missoula, in the county of Missoula. Now there's like 5 or 6.
Yep.
And let's be honest, dads, I'm going to call you out. It's because you can't get along.
Yep.
You're angry over your kids' playing time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, well, screw you. I'm going to go start my own team. And then you got to scrap together, another 9 players to surround the 3 that can actually play.
Totally. Yeah. And, it's the funny, like my son came up to me. He played Little League. He played travel ball for 3 years. I coached the last year. And I wanted him to continue to play. Like right now is the middle of the season. I'm watching his former team go around and play. I follow him on a Game Changer because I love it. I love baseball. I love the game. There's no close number 2 sport-wise than baseball for me. I watch the Boston Red Sox. When their game's over, I watch the Dodgers, whoever's on the West Coast. If the Red Sox are off, I usually watch the Yankees or I watch a competitor of theirs. I watch Game Changer for minor. I mean, I love the game. I go to games here locally for the Paddleheads. And so I love the game. And it was hard because my son has to love it. He has to be having a good time. And last year, Little League, travel ball, he was literally 6 out of 7 days of the week for a 2.5-month period playing baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that burned him out. It could be. But at the end of the season, I was like, hey, we got tryouts in July here for next year's travel ball team. I was like, do you want to do it? Because at the end of the year, I could see kind of that passion kind of being like, all right, we're going to another game. And he's like, I just don't think I want to, and he didn't want to hurt my feelings by saying it that straight. But I was like, look, I want you to be having fun. And that's a hard question that every dad needs to ask their kid. Are you having fun? If you're not having fun, it's not like, sometimes you have to push them through like, oh, I don't want to practice, but I like the games, then you got to push them through that. But if they're just not having fun playing the game, then it's like, it's time to hang it up.
And I think we've lost sight that until they have left high school, ultimately it is a game being played by children.
Totally.
And we've sort of lost sight of this. So our family is a host family for our local minor league baseball team. And so every year we have minor league baseball players live with us. And we got our player for this year. He arrived on Friday. Fantastic guy. It's going to be his first full season of playing professional baseball. Played at Baylor, and before that he was at Gonzaga. His name's Enzo Apodaca. Nicest kid. But we sat around on Friday when he got there and grilled up some hamburgers, and we were talking. And in the off season, when he's not playing, he's training, and he works at a sporting goods store. He's from Scottsdale, Arizona, and he's like, I shake my head because these dads come in with their 8-year-old, and they buy him a $500 baseball bat, and Enzo's like, I feel bad selling it to him, because the kid doesn't need the $500 bat.
No,
the dad wants to live through the kid with the $500 bat, but the 8-year-old doesn't need the $500 bat.
The only thing I'd push back on that is the physical need of the bat and the technology in the bat. Kids don't need that. Give me a break.
Right.
But at that age, it's the mental part of the game is so important that if a kid comes in and sees the cool colors on a bat and is like, oh man, I got to swing that bat, they're going to go up to the plate with so much darn confidence, and they're going to swing the crap out of that bat and hopefully make contact.
I was going to say, and strike out.
Yeah. But it's like, you're trying to, like, I always battled this, and you probably battle this too. Most dads, when you talk to them about their kids with baseball in general, but in any sport, the mental part of the game, getting them through like, hey, you're going to get hit. And when you get hit, you got to get up there the next time and not be like jumping out of the box. The confidence, that kind of stuff. If you can find anything that can give them that confidence and that excitement to get up there and get in, I think that really has that effect. Now, if you're doing that once a week, different story. But if you go at the beginning of the season and they see, the crayon bat and they want to swing the crayon bat this year, whatever.
If you can get the crayon bat on Temu for $49.95,
true,
I would recommend that at that age level. I'm watching this with my son.
Most companies do have down level versions of all their bats.
Oh yeah, they
do.
do.
Look almost the exact same. So you can get that mental edge without spending the $500 for sure.
No, unfortunately, the kids know.
Well, that's
the
true.
kids know. They're like, oh man, I remember when 2-piece bats came out.
Yeah.
Like 2-piece bats were a big deal. And, my son was like in coach pitch at 7 years old. Like, hey, Billy's got a 2-piece. Great.
Good.
I know. Wonderful. Maybe you can strike out with his bat as well.
Yeah. Last year we got the hype fire for Hank, and like he wasn't doing great. And so we got the hype fire, and it helped him a ton. And then we went to a wood bat tournament, and the kid swung a wood bat 10 times better than aluminum bat. Just loved it. He hit his first hit, and I don't think a wood rattles you as hard when you hit it like not perfect. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you can mishit it and it's not as bad. And so he was just, in fact, now he won't let me sell his wood bat. He's like, that's the one I want to keep. I want to keep the wood bat. I hit that so great. I was like, all right, you can keep whatever you want.
I'm watching this, everything you're talking about, particularly going back to when does something that's supposed to be fun stop being fun?
Mm-hmm.
My son's a junior in high school, and, the last few years, I mean, he was so passionate about baseball. And, back when I was coaching high school baseball, I mean, he was 3 months old sitting on my lap while I'm coaching a JV baseball game out in Vancouver. And so he's just been around the game since he was born. He had that honest conversation with me. He's like, Dad, it's just not really fun for me anymore. Like, he's really into bodybuilding now. He's at the gym for an hour and a half a day. He's taking it seriously. And he said, nothing makes me feel better than when I come home, I feel healthy, I feel strong, and I feel good about myself. And I realized he's getting that sense of fulfillment in doing that, and he's not getting it anymore with the sport of baseball. Yeah. And, dads, if you can hear us at all, when it stops being fun for your kid, that's when the interest is lost. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, they're a kid. They're a kid. And there's always going to be that part of it. They go through waves where it's like, well, that's lame. I'm just going to go do something else. Collect a lot of Star Wars toys.
Yeah,
I do. and I've been selling some. And, they all went into storage probably 3-4 years ago when my son was in, I don't know, 8th grade. And he's like, yeah, let's put these away. These are, I don't want to be seen as a kid. If any of my friends come over here to my house and go in the basement, they don't want to have a bunch of Star Wars toys displayed. So they go away. So I bust them out a few weeks ago because I put a bunch on eBay. And my son comes in. He's like, hey, let me see those. And then he's like, I'm going to put a few of these up in my room. Because they're fun.
They are fun.
And kids always come back to something when they're reminded how fun it is. When it stops being fun, that's when they sort of wander off and find things. And going back to this entire topic, I wonder if we've become so gung-ho with youth sports and so obsessed with the idea of getting our kids to college or having them do it year round because it's going to give them a competitive advantage. At what point does it stop being fun for them? And we realize all of those thousands of dollars we put in to equipment and nothing costs more than baseball and softball.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about equipment,
hockey might get up there.
Hockey might. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hockey would probably be up there. I mean, football, you don't need anything other than a pair of cleats. You're not buying your own pads. Basketball, you're going to get them a nice leather ball for $80 and an expensive pair of shoes, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. Soccer, it's just a ball. You can play it with a ball or a severed human head or whatever it is that you have laying around. And
do you know that I coach soccer?
I don't care. Okay. Let me tell you something. Here's my view on soccer. There are two groups of people that are historically good at soccer in our country: women and foreigners. And so,
well,
in our home, in the Lodwig home, we understand that soccer is an activity. We like to focus on sport.
If you could see the other side of his neck here, the veins are popping. It's this is visceral for Dave.
Hitler was a big fan of soccer.
Yeah.
Was he?
I don't know.
Volkswagens and soccer.
Volkswagens and soccer. Germans love soccer.
Yeah. No, and it's a good, this is a topic we could probably spend hours on, but it really comes back to, if you're a dad out there, talk to your kid, ask the questions that you may not want the answer to.
I'd be willing to bet that most kids participating, especially young boys participating in youth sports, they probably could care less about the sport, and what they'd rather do is toss the ball in the backyard with their dad.
I think, having lived this, and you have too, you take your kid to these weekend baseball tournaments. You know what they're most excited about? Especially when they're like 11, 12 years old.
Swimming pool?
The swimming pool back at the hotel. It's like, hey, so after the games today, are we all getting pizza so I can swim with my friends? That's what they care about.
Dude, that's high school too. We took our soccer team to a tournament in Billings, and like the highlight of the weekend was hanging out at the hotel. Other teams are at the same hotel. Everyone's in the pool. It's a madhouse, but like that's what they want to do.
If you ask my son why he's playing high school baseball right now, it's because on Saturday night, he went down to Buffalo Wild Wings at 8:00 to hang out with his teammates and watch the latest UFC. And they do that a lot. They go to Buffalo Wild Wings and just hang out, or they'll go meet up at McDonald's or whatnot. It's the camaraderie side of it. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that in the competitive nature of sports, because a lot of these kids are doing it for the camaraderie.
Totally.
And, not a lot of them are going to continue on, even at the age of 12 or 13, they start to drop off.
Yeah.
And the saddest part of it is not the loss of playing time or the loss of participating in the sport. It's the loss of the camaraderie that happens in there.
Totally agree. And camaraderie or a relationship with dad, or sometimes mom, for boys, sometimes it's mom, sometimes with girls, it's dad. But with you, it's your daughter for softball, but it's, in generalities, I'm just talking about a son. It's playing with dad, throwing the ball in the backyard. It's going to the games. Dad's excited when I do something good. there's a lot of that that's built there, and they miss that. Whether they're 2 for 4 with a double, and they don't care. They don't really think about that. Dads, we're like, kid was 2 for 4 with a double. That was an awesome game, but they're like, well, whatever, So
the softball thing, that's a completely different beast. I'm going through that. My daughter's 11, and I'm coaching her softball team, and the only way I can describe it is it's like being trapped in the world's crappiest musical. It is. Because
soap opera.
It is. Oh yeah, like you're over. Like I'm over there on third base with a batter in the box. I only have 3 signs. It's like bunt, steal, or take.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get him to focus on, hey, I want the runner on first to steal while you lay down a bunt. Meanwhile, the entire dugout is doing this entire song and dance routine, like with choreography. I don't understand when they got the time to get together to figure out these.
It's instinctual.
I guess it's like, and there's so many times I just want to snap and be like, hey, if you guys put the same amount of time into just hitting off a tee at home as you do in the song and dance routine, then maybe as a team we might get more than 3 hits a game.
Just crush their spirits.
But that's the thing. That's the other thing with girls softball, and I love it. I love coaching girls softball, but man, they cry a lot. And like I literally, our last game we got.
Are we sure your team just doesn't cry? Mister, why don't you practice at home more?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all of them.
This is too honest to goodness story. Last game we got blown out. I went out at the end of the game with my girls out there, and I'm like, hey, so there's this movie called A League of Their Own.
Oh, no.
Starring Tom Hanks, and it's about during World War II. Baseball pivoted towards women as players to keep the pastime going. And Tom Hanks is the manager of this team. And he has a very famous line in that movie where one of his players starts crying during a game. He says, there's no crying in baseball. I told him, like, there is no crying in softball. Same thing applies. Can't cry just because you strike out or you make an error. Game's got to keep going. So you got to tell him that. One of our pitchers last week, you got to have fun with them.
Mm-hmm.
At that level, you have to have fun with them. She was struggling. And so I went out there, called time. I went out there and I looked at her. I said, hey, I hate to be the one to break it to you.
No.
But your mom and dad are over there and they've been waiting to tell you this, but you're adopted.
Gosh.
And I told her that they told me there's a return clause. So unless you start throwing some strikes here, you may be spending Christmas somewhere else this year. Whole infield's in there.
That's awesome.
And
have you seen that Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
Page? The guy that goes out and says, oh, he is so hilarious.
Oh, yeah. 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 I have a long relationship with this girl, so she knew, this is all of that. But you have to have fun with them because
totally.
Some of those games are just a grind.
Mm-hmm.
Did she start throwing strikes?
No.
Bummer.
A few. She got a little bit better. It's about the levity.
Yeah.
Those kids are out there, and when it sucks, it's like you're trapped in quicksand.
Yeah.
And so you go out, you get them to laugh. I used to tell off-color jokes to my high school players when I would go out to the mound. I'm not going to repeat them on this podcast. But you just get them to think about something other than the strike zone for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it just kind of mentally resets them.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No, it's because they get in a bad headspace and then they're just going to spiral. So.
Oh, yeah.
Totally agree. Well, I think we should wrap up this episode. If you have not yet, please subscribe to our socials. We are live on Instagram, not quite on Facebook, and we've had our issues with MySpace so far.
We'll get there.
It's shocking, but the technology behind MySpace just isn't as sharp as the other ones. But we will get there.
We will.
And we're streaming live. That baby, we are there. Make sure to share our podcasts. We're on Apple Pod and Spotify. So we will be once these are live. So share them and give us a review. Only if it's positive. If it's negative, keep it to yourself. Thank you very much. And, next week we'll be back on Monday Not sure what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about something. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.